Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of the CEO Fix podcast. Today we have a very special guest and I'm super excited about it. We're going to have an amazing conversation, but I want to tell you a little bit about her before she comes on. Today's guest is Nikki Bradley. She is a brand strategist who specializes in helping women entrepreneurs to build their personal brand alongside their business brand so that they can bring out their biggest, baddest, dopest version of themselves so that they can show up, serve more impactful, and sell more confidently. She also works with companies and organizations to empower their business leaders to become more powerful brand ambassadors and position themselves as thought leaders and build their own personal brand. So without further ado, I am so excited to introduce to some and to present to others the Nikki Bradley. Hey guys, hey. So again, thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of the CEO Fix. We have the one, the only Miss Nikki Bradley. Yay! So listen, you guys have already heard the rundown of what she does and who she be and all those good things. So we're just going to get into the conversation. And really the first thing I just have to ask you is like, how did you even get into this work? How did that happen?
Okay. So, if you were to ask my my family, like that has known me since birth, they would tell you that I've always been I've always been the one who's like the encourager, like the one who sees the glass half full. I've always been the one who is like coaching people and teaching, and I come from a long line of educators. So like that piece was already like written. And then I've always had like this, like the big dreams. Like I've always been the one who would see like big picture. And would be like, oh, well, why can't we do this big thing? Like, what do you mean we can't do that? I was watching, it's so funny. I was watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off this weekend with my family. My daughter, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she had never seen that movie. And so it was Mother's Day. And I asked, my family asked me like, what do you want to watch today? And I was like, I feel like I want a throwback movie. And so I was like, she's never seen this. And I was like, I wonder what she would think watching this. Like if she would get how funny it is at this age, like we do. And as I was watching it this time, I was like, everything was going right for him. Like everything always went right for him because he just assumed nothing would go bad for him. And that's always been me. Like I've always been like why can't we do this? Like, of course it's going to go right. And so for me, like now in my business, that's really what I teach people. Like I teach them to get back to that, like even with building their brand, like to start dreaming bigger, start thinking bigger, because we've gotten so conditioned that when's the next shoe going to drop? Or I've had these failures before. And we just feel like we've gotten beaten down, or we've been in this corporate mindset before. And it happened to me because I lost it for a little bit. I had to get it back. Where we feel like, you know, I have to fit inside of this box, or I can't dream but so big because if I do, like, or I have to get permission to dream bigger than this, or to have a goal that's bigger than this.
Look, and I love how Dream Big is behind you.
Really? Yeah, I know, right? Because even in corporate, you know, you can only set a goal for like no more than like a 10% higher than you had last year. Because if it's beyond that, like that's unreasonable.
It's not realistic.
Not realistic. You have to have a SMART goal. Right?
So I love that. And I love that you are the expert in authentic messaging and personal branding and sales, and like, because all of those things tie in together, right? Because if I don't believe the person that you're presenting me, then I'm not going to buy from you because I don't know you. So I love that. And also kudos to the Ferris Bueller, like, because I'm not going to lie. My weekend was The Color Purple and Oh Brother Where Art Thou. So it was kind of like it was a throwback weekend. I love that. So let me talk to you a little bit about being that CEO. You said you had to kind of reset. You said you had lost that authentic visionary part of you. Like, how did you get that back?
Oh gosh. For me, I had gone through a period where I was trying to do all the things. I was in my corporate job. I was running a national sales team. I was a new mom. Actually, in my corporate job, I was doing 2 roles.
Wow.
So the company that I worked for had 2 different companies, and I was the director of sales and marketing for both companies at one time. And I had my young child, and I was trying to build a couple of businesses on my own on the side. So wow. I was just doing all the things.
All the things.
All the things. Yeah. And I was traveling all over the country, like it was crazy. I found myself getting up early at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to try to work on my business before my daughter would wake up in the morning, take her to school, work at like a coffee shop before I had to be in the office on my business.
Yeah.
Work during lunchtime on my business. Once she got to bed, work some more, and then go to bed at like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then wake up and do it all over again. So that's not sustainable for anybody.
No.
And it ended up putting me in the hospital. And so laying in the hospital, you have a come to Jesus moment. And that'll shift some things for you. So for me, that's what it was. That's what made me shift like how I was doing things. And that's what it was. That's what changed it.
That's the story I hear a lot from female CEOs, female business owners. Like, we have to hit a wall hard before we realize, I don't think that this is working the way that I planned. So I am not surprised that, as the elders say, you're burning the candles at both ends. You're doing all of the things. And in none of that list that you gave were you saying like, and so I took a week off and went to the spa and took care of me. Like, none of those things had, like, that's crazy. You don't have time for that. That's silly.
No. Or that's, and up until that point, I was trying to put up this facade of like, everything is perfect. Everything is working. I was wearing this. Actually, I was noticing just now, I was like, I have on, like, it's been a long time since I've even worn a top like this because it's a little bit too corporate-ish to me. But I still have my dangly earrings.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, everything had to look just so. Because I was putting out this image that I thought I had to look a certain way. I thought I had to speak a certain way. And that just was not, it wasn't me. It wasn't accurate.
It just wasn't.
And it wasn't working.
Yeah. And you were suffering in silence. Like,
yeah.
Like, when you think about those 1 a.m. mornings where you're going to bed, like, how many of those were you crying from exhaustion? I don't know about you, but like, I have been in a situation where I'm sitting there and I'm like, why am I crying? Just exhausted, just like a baby. You're so sleepy.
Crying for no reason. You're just like, baby, what's wrong with you? I don't know.
All you can do is cry.
I don't know.
I have no idea. And so I appreciate you so much for sharing that story, because people can think, personal branding, oh, that's pretty pictures, that's this, that, and the other. But if you don't take care of the inside of you, it starts to leak out in pictures. It really does. Like, a couple of weeks ago, I shared a picture that I did a whole photo shoot, and we were at a resort in Palm Springs, and just dying on the inside. I never even used those pictures because I could see it in my eyes that I was just like, I'm smiling, but my eyes like, help me, please. Help me out of this business I built. And so I can laugh about it now. But, at the time I looked at those pictures, I was like, And it wasn't, it had all the things. I had palm trees behind me. I was No. I was devastated on the inside. I was like, this is not the vision that I had. And so again, the whole point of this particular podcast is to help female entrepreneurs, female CEOs understand, like, we see you, we know you, we see the snapshots and the lives on social media, and we know we can see it. And so that suffering in silence is not as silent as you think. So yeah, I know that's a whole, I should write that down. That's a whole nother that's a whole other thing right there. So as the CEO of your brand, your company, how do you balance the business branding and the personal branding? How do you do that?
So for me, it's all one and the same.
Okay.
Yes, there are some pieces of the business that, and really it's and that's my personal choice, but it's a choice for each person. Mm-hmm. For me, what I do, there is no, I am the face of the business. So I can't really separate, like, if you're working with me, you need to know who I am, because I'm not about the bait and switch.
Right.
And what I see so often with people who they are the brand, meaning that you are a coach, a consultant, a service-based business where people are hiring your company because they want to work with you, or even if you have a team, but they still see you as the person that they're really hiring.
Yeah.
If you are portraying one thing out in public is like, this is who I am, but then they hire you and they get to know you and they're like, wait, who is this? Who are you? Right. That's the bait and switch.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what when I was talking before about how it's, everything had to look a certain way before. And I was like, wait, this is not working. The reason it wasn't working is because it was the bait and switch. Because people would hire me and they were like, oh, you're nothing like what I thought before. I'm like, well, what did you think? What was I putting out there before? Right. And so now for some businesses, and this is why, when you see the corporations or the larger companies, once you grow to a certain size, there's a little bit more separation because you have so many layers and people are not hiring the specific person. Like Target is a little bit different. Like you're not hiring Target because you're hiring the CEO or you're hiring the VP of marketing. That's different. But as long as somebody is identifying a person with the business, you can't really have a separation.
So do you think maybe CEOs, we tend to hide behind our business sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. I talk about it all the time. That is, you nailed it right on the head. There's so many people that I work with and in the beginning, they're like, oh, just look at the business. But they're kind of like in the Wizard of Oz, that, the man behind the curtain. They're like, don't look over here.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. The people don't buy the products, they don't buy the services, they don't buy the business, they're buying the person. They buy from people. Yeah. So if we are hiding the person, then people don't have enough information to make a good decision, a good buying decision. And so they won't buy, they'll buy from somebody else.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. So you work with newer entrepreneurs, kind of knocking that out off the top, like we're not going to hide behind the business off the top. What's one of the biggest things they're afraid of?
So funny enough, I work with not just newer entrepreneurs, but sometimes even established entrepreneurs, because sometimes they have gotten to the point where they've had the business for a while and the business the marketing has taken over, and or they've gotten to a point where they've gotten stagnant. And they're like, well, I don't understand why it's not working. It's not working because you've gotten so comfortable with only talking about the product and the service, and people don't see you anymore.
Yeah.
Or you've forgotten who you are, and you're like, you've forgotten how dope you are. I talk about that all the time. And so you've got to we got to help you rediscover how dope you are so you can show people.
I love that. So for the CEO who has forgotten who she is or who he is, like, what's the first step in remembering that? Do we pull receipts? Like, what do we do?
Absolutely.
She's like, yeah.
Absolutely. And on a daily basis, because we have to remind ourselves, because we underestimate how brilliant we are, the results that we get, not just for our clients, but for ourselves. Part of that is we think that it's only about the big wins.
Yeah.
Like if we didn't get this amazing result for our client, then we're failing. Like, oh, well, you know, I haven't done anything that great lately. Dude,
listen, I'm gonna need you to
you've been doing this for 20 years. Right?
Yeah.
You know, you're not new to this, you're true to this.
Yeah. That's the part right there.
Yeah. You didn't just like stop getting wins. Like if you've been winning, you're still a winner.
Yeah. I love that. So what is your favorite right here? What's your favorite exercise to kind of unlock a CEO's perspective around their personal brand? So for example, back in the day, when I used to help people write books, I would ask them this question, and we would probably, the two of us would end up crying, because I would say, you know, who's dying because your book isn't done? Mm-hmm. Like imagine the person so desperate for your wisdom, for your tips, your tricks, your hacks, your story, that they are dying mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and so on. And of course we would end up, because you know, you put it in perspective, you take it off of you and what you can do. So what is your exercise that unlocks a CEO when it comes to personal branding?
So the thing that I love to help people figure out is their dope superpower. That's what I call it.
I love it.
And there are 4 pieces of it. So the first part of it is, what is your innate gifting? Mm-hmm. So what is that thing that you were just born with? Like you didn't have to do anything to get it. You can't help but to do it. It's just that thing that God gave you. Like Michael Jordan, nobody had to like tell Michael Jordan he was an athlete. He just was. You put any ball in his hand, and he's gonna run with it, dunk with it, hit it, like whatever, all day long.
Yeah.
Right. So what is that for you?
Wow.
Right. Like I was telling you at the beginning, like for me, my family's like, you were just always the encourager. Like whenever somebody, like you can spot somebody, you can tell when they're like not in their best place, and you just automatically gravitate to that person. And I'm like, okay, here's what we do. This is what we've got to do.
Yeah.
I've always been that person. So the next piece of it is, what is your passion? So not like telenovela, like, oh, you know, not that, but it is, what do you love? What are you curious about? So we're given that drive to go and seek after something. Yeah. Like that's not an accident.
Yeah.
You're curious about something for a reason. So what is that thing that you have like an insatiable thirst to learn more about it all the time? Like you will read every book about it. You will watch every documentary about it. If somebody's talking about it, you want to be a part of that conversation. If there's a class about it, you're signing up for it. What is that thing that you're always just like just consuming knowledge about it?
Yeah.
What is that? That's the second piece of it. Then the third piece is, what is it that others recognize in you that you don't see? Like your blind spot. Yeah. That's what I call it. So like, they're like, what do you mean you don't know that you do this? What do you mean you don't know that you do this all day long, but you don't see? You're like, really? That's me? So we all have a blind spot.
Right.
So maybe it's something that your mentors, a family member, friends, maybe a teacher or a coworker, a boss has said it to you, and you're like, really? That's me? And the last one is your experiences. So every experience we go through, every person that we've met in our life, it all happened for a reason. And it's all made us who we are. So when you put all of those things together, that gives us our dope superpower. And the thing about your dope superpower is no two people have the exact same combination of those 4 things.
Wow.
So when you understand that, you don't have to worry about competition with anybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about how you're going to stand out in the world. The exact people that you were meant to serve on this planet are going to gravitate towards you because they're going to see something in you that resonates with their frequency, because they're going to be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This person gets me. This person, it has this that like is speaking directly to me, that nobody else is going to speak to them in that way.
Yeah. That's powerful. Listen, I'm like, I got homework to do. So for those of you listening, go ahead and pause, get a pen and paper, and go back through those steps and unlock yourself. Because that right there is powerful. Listen, we've covered a lot. Like, you've been dropping gems. I can't even begin to, like, I have homework. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, there are things that I need to I need to go in. First of all, I need to make sure I got my list of receipts that I can review every day. Like, that's powerful. And then those 4 steps that you just took us through, again, it's just reinforcing why you should show up. And that's so powerful, especially with the work that you do around personal branding. It can be so easy as a leader to kind of fall into the background, push the products, push the team, whatever the situation is, to the front. But what's one, no, not one. What are 3 tips that you would give the CEO about their personal brand, like that they can execute in the next 30, 60 days?
The first one is take some time and really work on that dope soup, like figuring out what your superpower is. That's the first thing, because once, like I said, once you understand that, the way that you start showing up in the world is going to totally shift.
Yeah.
You're going to start walking with a little bit different swagger, because you're going to be like, oh, I'm not worried about that. You will be like, check my receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's just that little switch is going to come on.
Yeah.
The second thing is, get really clear on what it is that you want. And not just clear about it, but be honest about what it is that you want.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we undershoot it so much.
That's a word.
We're like, let me just pick this thing that I think I can get.
Yeah.
And so when we undershoot it, then we show up in how we present to the world at that lower level too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last thing would just be, stop worrying about whether or not the people you're meant to serve are going to show up. They're all around you. They're just waiting for you to show up.
Wow. Listen, if that's not a word for somebody, I don't know what is. Like, that's powerful. Stop waiting for them to show up because they're waiting on you. Like that right there. I am speechless. That was good. Thank you for that. Look, thank you for that. Like, I feel checked in a very gentle Southern way. I feel very checked, not attacked, just called higher in a very loving way. So thank you for that. Listen, again, I cannot thank you enough for being a guest here at CEO Fix Podcast. We are dedicated to having the conversations that CEOs need to have, right? This right here, I feel like you're like a personal brand whisperer. I feel like if there's some mindset stuff you do, I'm like, I think she just like Jedi'd me on this thing. Like, but yeah, no, I appreciate that so much. Such good information, such powerful information. Please tell the people how to connect with you, how to find you, what your favorite platform is for them to connect with you. And I will absolutely make sure, the team will make sure that this information and how to get in touch with and stay connected with Nikki is in the content.
Absolutely. So I'm on all the platforms, but where I hang out the most is on Facebook. And you can find me if you just go to nikkibradley.net/FB, that'll take you directly to my page.
Perfect. So. I love it. So there you have it. That's your CEO fix for the day. Go do your homework. I have homework to do as well. And listen, we will see you on the next episode. Y'all have a good one.